My earliest memories are painted in the warm golden light of Sunday mornings. I can still smell my mother's perfume and the starch on my father's best shirt. Faith, for us, was not just a belief, it was a feeling. It was a rhythm that our family danced to every single week. It was the sound of my grandmother humming a hymn. She braided my sister's hair, her fingers moving with a gentle, practiced grace. It was the weight of my father's hand on my shoulder. We walked into the grand, echoing church. The place felt as big as the whole world to my young eyes. These moments were the bedrock of my childhood. Love, tradition, a deep sense of belonging to something much larger than ourselves. We were a family steeped in devotion. I remember the potlucks after service, tables groaning with jollof rice, fried chicken, colorful salads, a time of laughter, catching up with aunties and uncles, feeling completely and utterly safe. The church was more than a building. It was an extension of our home. The pastor's booming voice was as familiar to me as my father's. The Bible was the centerpiece of our home, both literally and figuratively. A large leather-bound King James Version sat on a special carved wooden stand in our living room. It was more than just a book. It was a revered object, a symbol of our family's commitment to God. Its pages were thin and delicate, filled with my grandmother's spidery handwriting in the margins marking passages that had spoken to her over the years. We were taught to handle it with respect, to never place anything on top of it, to approach its words with a humble and open heart. It was the ultimate authority, the final word on all matters of life, death, and everything in between. Our family's religious practices were very traditional and followed a predictable, comforting routine. Sunday was the Lord's Day, and it was non-negotiable. We would wake up early, put on our finest clothes, our Sunday best. We would spend several hours at church, Sunday school for the children, the main service, passionate singing, heartfelt prayers, a long, powerful sermon. Afternoons were for rest and family time, a quiet period of reflection before the evening service. This weekly rhythm was the anchor of our lives. Beyond Sundays, our engagement with the Bible was a daily affair. My father would lead a short family devotion every morning before we all scattered for school and work. He would read a passage from the Psalms. He would read a passage from Proverbs. We would each share a short prayer. On Wednesday evenings, we attended a midweek Bible study where we would dissect verses and discuss their meaning. It was a very intellectual and structured approach to faith. This way of life brought a great deal of certainty. When faced with a problem, the answer was always to take it to the Lord in prayer and search the scriptures. The Bible was our roadmap, our instruction manual for living a righteous life. It told us how to be good parents. It told us how to be obedient children. It told us how to be honest workers. It told us how to be faithful spouses. For a very long time, this black and white clarity was all we knew and all we thought we needed. It was a solid, unshakable fortress of faith. As my siblings and I grew older, we started to see the world in more shades of gray. The simple, absolute answers that had once been so comforting began to feel restrictive. I remember my older sister coming home from university with questions that our family's faith struggled to answer. She had friends from different backgrounds, different beliefs, different ways of life. She saw goodness and love in them that our strict interpretation of Scripture didn't seem to have room for. When she asked my father about these things, the conversations would often end in frustration. He would say, "The Bible is clear on this," leaving no room for discussion or exploration. These weren't just intellectual disagreements. They began to create emotional distance between us. It felt like we were speaking different languages. My brother, compassionate and empathetic, struggled with some of the stories of wrath and judgment. He couldn't reconcile the image of a loving, merciful God with one who commanded wars and punishments. He started to quietly withdraw during family devotions. His silence contrasted with his earlier enthusiasm. The book that was meant to unite us was, ironically, beginning to sow seeds of division. For me, the turning point came when a close family friend was ostracized from our church community for reasons that felt deeply personal and unfair. I saw judgment where I expected to see grace. I saw rules being valued more than people. It broke my heart and made me question the very foundation of the system we were a part of. Was this what faith was supposed to be? Rigid laws used to exclude and hurt? I felt a disconnect between the love in my heart and the doctrines I was being taught. It felt like trying to fit our expanding hearts into a box that was becoming too small. The decision to seek something different was not sudden, but a slow, painful, necessary evolution. It came from deep love for our family and a desire to keep it from fracturing. We wanted a spiritual path that could hold all of us, with our questions, our doubts, and our diverse experiences. The process of creating our own sacred text was one of the most challenging and most beautiful things our family has ever done. It began not with writing, but with talking. For months, we held family councils every Sunday afternoon, the time we used to spend at evening service. We would sit in a circle in our living room, and the only rule was listening with an open heart. We shared our hurts, our questions, and our deepest spiritual longings. My father admitted he didn't have all the answers and was willing to learn alongside us. This vulnerability cracked us open and allowed healing to begin. We decided our text would be co-created by all of us. We identified core values: love, compassion, forgiveness, growth, unity. These became the pillars of our framework. We read excerpts from around the world: Tao Te Ching, Rumi, Buddhist teachings, indigenous wisdom, and we even revisited the Bible, seeking verses of unconditional love and radical inclusion. The bookmaking was scrapbook style. We bought a blank leather journal and named it the Book of Light. Inside, we added anything sacred and true. Mother painted watercolors. Sister wrote parables. Brother compiled quotes. Father recorded our oral history. It was slow, deliberate, and personal. There were arguments and disagreements. We debated wording for weeks. Those debates became constructive. They forced understanding and finding middle ground. We weren't seeking an external, absolute truth, but articulating the truth inside our family. Building the book was a sacred practice. It was our ark, carrying our family into a more authentic spiritual future. It was our ark, carrying our family into a more authentic spiritual future. So the Book of Light is not a book of rigid laws, but really a living document, a tapestry of our family's collective soul. The first section is called The Five Pillars, and it lays out our core values: love, stories and poems about empathy and selfless giving; compassion, a guide on active listening, a meditation for putting ourselves in others' shoes; forgiveness, a piece written by my father about letting go of old grudges; personal stories from each family member about times they forgave or were forgiven; a practical guide to living our cherished principles daily; a practical guide to living our cherished principles daily. One of the most unique parts is the family parables. The parable of the leaky faucet, small ignored problems causing big damage based on our home; the gardener and the weeds, tending to the mind, pull weeds, grow flowers. The stories are relatable, sometimes humorous, and directly applicable because they came from our lives. We also have our own commandments, our 5 commitments, simple but profound. We commit to speaking our truth with kindness. We commit to listening to understand, not to reply. We commit to serve our community. We commit to care for the earth. We commit to never stop learning and growing. These are not threats from a distant deity, but promises we make to one another. Vows to build a loving, respectful family culture. They are active commitments requiring constant participation. Finally, the Book of Light is filled with our prayers and rituals. Morning, gratitude. We each recite a short prayer. Thankful for the new day, thankful for our health, thankful for each other. Ritual of reconciliation. Light a candle. Each person states one thing they appreciate about the other, then discuss the problem. This makes sure we start from love. The prayers are not pleas to a far-off God, but affirmations of the good we want to create and acknowledgments of the divine spark we see in each other. The prayers are not pleas to a far-off God, but affirmations of the good we want to create and acknowledgments of the divine spark we see in each other. The Book of Light has completely transformed the rhythm of our daily lives. It is not an object on a pedestal, but a well-worn tool that we use every single day. Our morning devotions have changed dramatically. Instead of my father reading to us, we now take turns choosing a passage from our book to read aloud. One of my sister's parables, a poem I added, one of the 5 commitments. After the reading, we don't just pray, we have a brief check-in. We each share one thing we are grateful for and one challenge we are facing. This simple practice has fostered a new level of honesty and vulnerability among us. The book has become our primary resource for guidance and conflict resolution. When my brother and I had a serious disagreement a few months ago, my mother didn't tell us to pray about it. Instead, she sat us down, opened the Book of Light to the ritual of reconciliation, and lit the candle. It felt a little awkward at first, but being required to state what we appreciated about each other before airing our grievances completely changed the tone of the conversation. It reminded us that our relationship was more important than our disagreement. The book gives us a practical, step-by-step process for navigating difficult emotions and situations with grace. Our family unity has grown in ways I never thought possible. Because we all contributed to the book, we all feel a sense of ownership over our family's spiritual life. It's not something being imposed on us. It's something we are actively creating together. Our family councils continue, and we even have a process for adding new pages to the book. When someone learns a valuable lesson or discovers a new piece of wisdom that resonates with our values, we have a small ceremony where we add it to the book. This makes our faith a living, breathing, evolving thing, just like our family. The impact extends beyond our immediate family. Inspired by our commitment to serve our community, we started a monthly neighborhood cleanup project. We also host a storytelling dinner where friends and neighbors share a meal and a story. We are not trying to convert anyone. We are simply trying to live out our values in a tangible way. The Book of Light has taught us that spirituality isn't just about what you believe in private. It's about the love and kindness you put out into the world. There is one story that, for me, perfectly captures the profound impact the Book of Light has had on our family. It involves my father and his younger brother, my uncle. For over a decade, they had been estranged due to a bitter business disagreement that ended in harsh words and deep wounds. It was a shadow that loomed over every family gathering, a painful silence that everyone was aware of, but no one knew how to break. My father, a proud man, held on to his anger, believing he was in the right. The old Bible verses about justice and righteousness only seemed to reinforce his stance, making forgiveness feel like a betrayal of his principles. As we were creating the Book of Light, the section on forgiveness became a major point of discussion. We wrote about how holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. We included a quote, "Forgiveness is not for the other person. It is a gift you give to yourself." My father was quiet during these discussions, but I could see him wrestling with the words. He was the one who wrote the introduction to that chapter, and in it, he confessed how difficult he found forgiveness to be. A few weeks after we completed the book, my father came to us during our Sunday family council. With the Book of Light open on his lap, his voice thick with emotion, he told us he was going to call his brother. He read aloud the commitment we had all written together. We commit to releasing the past, to make space for a peaceful present. He said that our book had not commanded him to forgive, but had invited him to. That afternoon, he made the call. I don't know everything that was said, but I know it was a long conversation filled with tears and apologies from both sides. The following weekend, my uncle came to our house for the first time in 10 years. Seeing my father and his brother embrace in our doorway was like watching the sun break through the clouds after a long storm. It was a physical manifestation of the healing that our new sacred text had made possible. It wasn't a miracle from an external God. It was a miracle we had created ourselves through honesty, vulnerability, and the collective desire to choose love over being right. It wasn't a miracle from an external God. It was a miracle we had created ourselves through honesty, vulnerability, and the collective desire to choose love over being right. If there is one overarching lesson our family has learned on this incredible journey, it is this. The most sacred text of all is the one written on the hearts of the people you love. For years, we looked for God in an ancient book, in a church building, in the sermons of a pastor. We believed divinity was something external, something out there that we had to strive for and be worthy of. We were so busy looking up at the heavens that we failed to see the divine spark right in front of us at our dinner table. The Book of Light didn't give us a new God. It simply opened our eyes to the God we already had in each other. This journey taught us that faith does not have to be a rigid, unchanging inheritance. It can be a dynamic, creative, and deeply personal collaboration. By letting go of the need for absolute certainty, we found something far more powerful: authentic connection. Our old faith was based on a shared belief in the same answers. Our new faith is based on a shared commitment to exploring the questions together. This shift has made our family bond unbreakable because it is no longer threatened by doubt or disagreement. Our unity comes not from thinking alike, but from loving alike, even when we think differently. We learn that spirituality is not about perfection. It's about growth. Our Book of Light is intentionally imperfect and incomplete. It has smudges, crossed out words, and pages that are still blank. This teaches us that we too are beautifully imperfect works in progress. It gives us the grace to make mistakes, to change our minds, and to evolve. Our sacred text is not a destination, it's a compass that points us toward becoming more loving, more compassionate, and more united versions of ourselves day by day. So, the ultimate message I hope to share is one of empowerment. You do not need to outsource your spirituality. You, your family, your community, you have within you the wisdom, the love, and the creativity to define what is sacred for yourselves. Whether you find that in an ancient tradition or through creating something entirely new, the goal is the same: to connect more deeply with love. Our journey of moving from the Bible to our own book was not a rejection of faith, but a reclamation of it. It was the most profound act of faith we have ever undertaken, because we finally put our faith in the power of love within our own family. Our story is just one family story. It is not a prescription, but simply a sharing of our path in the hopes that it might inspire you on yours. Maybe your family is thriving within a traditional faith, and that is a beautiful thing. But maybe, just maybe, you feel some of the same cracks we felt. Maybe you feel a longing for a spiritual home that fits your family's unique shape. You have permission to explore, to question, to build. Don't be afraid to start small. You don't need to write a whole book overnight. Maybe it starts with a simple conversation around the dinner table. Ask your loved ones, what does love mean to you? What is one value that you think our family should live by? Create a space where every voice is heard and every feeling is valid. The simple act of asking and listening is a sacred ritual in itself. It is the laying of a new foundation, one built on mutual respect and genuine curiosity. You might be surprised by the wisdom that is already present in your own family. Remember that the goal is not to find perfect answers, but to create a stronger connection. The process is the purpose. The messy, beautiful, challenging, joyful work of defining your values together is what will weave you closer. Whether you write down your ideas in a fancy journal or on sticky notes you put on the fridge, what matters is that you are doing it together. You are co-creating a shared language of the heart, a spiritual framework that belongs to you and you alone. This is an act of profound love and courage. I am so grateful to be able to share our journey with you today. It is a story that is still being written. We are excited to see what the next chapter holds. Now, I want to hear from you. What parts of our story resonated with you? Has your family ever tried to create its own traditions or rituals? What does a family faith mean to you? Please share your thoughts, stories, and questions in the comments below. Your wisdom is valuable. And if you enjoyed this story and want to hear more, please don't forget to subscribe for more content that aims to inspire and connect us all. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content that aims to inspire and connect us all. Thank you for listening.